starting in the new year, you've got veterans services that are going to be recognized with state charters. You've got opioid measures that are going to be implemented to allow for fentanyl testing strips. You've got a book ban that's going to be in effect, saying that if a local library doesn't follow the American Library Association's guidelines, they could be not in receipt of state or federal tax dollars that the Secretary of State's office moves through. But also, you've got non-citizens who can become police officers. If you recall, you had House Bill 3751 pass, and Governor J.B. Pritzker signed that, and there was a little bit of pushback. And what this does is it allows for non-citizens here with work permits or those who are here as DACA recipients to become law enforcement. January 1st, that law kicks in. Several months ago, Governor Pritzker was asked about this, and here's what he had to say in response to the concerns that there were. Let me just make sure that we've got this where it needs to go.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking the question because, as usual, the far right is proposing or putting out their false information. They're saying that we're allowing illegal immigrants is the word that they would use. Undocumented immigrants are not allowed to become police officers in the state of Illinois still. What we have allowed is legal permanent residents and DACA recipients now to become police officers. So we have the ability for people who are legally in this country and again, permanent residents or DACA recipients now to apply for jobs as police officers. But I am tired of the right wing twisting these things. They put it out on Facebook. They tell lies. They attack based upon those lies. They're perpetuating lies. So there are people out there that think that we're just allowing anybody to become a police officer. That's just not accurate. 2 other states already have provided this. We have a U.S. military that has 35,000 immigrants who are not U.S. citizens who are serving in the U.S. military today. 8,000 more sign up every year. We allow that in our U.S. military. We allow it in a couple of other states, and more states are adding on to this list of states that are allowing legal permanent residents. So I'm proud that we are doing this. I think it's the right thing to do. It's also good for our police departments. And oh, by the way, the Fraternal Order of Police has supported it.
And they did. And so did some Republicans in the House. But not every Republican supported this. There were a lot of questions about really just the overall idea of allowing for non-citizens to hold and detain citizens. So that measure comes into law come January 1st. Another measure that comes into law January 1st allows for the driver's license to be standardized. So let's take a look here. This was back in, June. So over the summer, you had Governor J.B. Pritzker sign a whole bunch of bills, all right, after they passed 655 bills out of spring session. Hundreds on the governor's desk, and he signed, I think, like 180 at one time. But House Bill 3882 allows undocumented immigrants to obtain a standardized Illinois driver's license. Now, I want to make sure we're clear here. This was really just removing some words on the actual driver's license, which standardizes it instead of it saying that, the license holder is a temporary visitor license, because Illinois had a temporary visitor's driver's license for several years. I don't know, when was the last time we had that enacted? It's been like 5 years or something like that, if not more. It's probably been a decade, actually. I'll have to take a look. I can't remember exactly when that was, but it's been years since we've had a temporary visitor's driver's license. And it would say something to that effect on the license, big bold letters, TVDL, a temporary visitor's driver's license. Well, they're removing that. So the legislation, the governor says, is a significant step to the barriers of an opportunity for many undocumented immigrants. We ensure every single individual, the governor said after signing this, can obtain a driver's license, making our roads safer, decreasing stigma, and creating more equitable system for all. And when this was ultimately signed, you had the Secretary of State's office praise it and talk about it removing the stigma of non-citizens getting driver's licenses in the state of Illinois. And non-citizens getting driver's license, they still have to, provide that they have insurance, for example. So, but one thing that the law does starting January 1st, it removes the label TVDL, temporary visitor's driver's license, or something that says this is not an official form of ID or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly the language that it does as we go live to tape here, but you can look it up on House Bill 382. And you know what? Heck, I'll just show you how you can do this yourself. If you go to ilga.gov, and let me make sure I've got this pulled up so that we can look at this together. You go to House Bill, let's search here, 3882, and search that, standard ID documentation. You can read the PDF of the actual public act. Going through this rapidly for you so you can follow along, and I would encourage people to. It deals with the Real ID Act. They gotta make sure that they have that all spelled out, and they define what the ID is, other than a temporary visitor's driver's license. So they're essentially scratching that from the law. And you go through, and this is a 55-page document, and it shows that other than an application for the form that pertains to a standard driver's license or identification, you've got, hold on a second, make sure that I don't have the governor going off in my other ear here. Other than an application or form that pertains to a standard driver's license or identification card, it does not list a social security number for the applicant. Okay, so it adds some of the language there. Very similar language. Just trying to find the actual language they're stripping from the license to make them more uniform, and as the sponsors of this said, takes away the stigma. Federal limits apply versus just standard. So that's not for federal identification. That's I guess the word that they're removing, right? So it's not for federal identification, but it just says federal limits apply. So yeah, that's what they're doing, right? So when you hear about this law, getting into the minutia is important. Not all of a sudden are undocumented non-citizens going to be able to get driver's licenses. They've been able to do that for quite some time in Illinois. But the driver's license they get January 1st will not say not federal identification. Instead, it's going to say federal limits apply. And I think that's going to be across the board for everybody who gets a non-real ID. And that's another issue in all of that as well. So when you see a lot of these new law stories, listen, this is complicated, and the minutia is important to understand where we've come from. So that's going to kick in on January 1st, making those driver's licenses more uniform. Also, you've got the smoking ban law being updated. Here soon, January 1st, electronic smoking devices are going to be banned from public places. So that as well is a new law kicking in for January 1st. Guys, listen, it's a holiday week still. I'm going to get out of here. I've got some work I got to do. Again, email me, bishoponair@gmail.com. For the rest of the week, we'll do some other things as well. I do plan on trying to do a live-to-tape documentary about where we've come from since the debate around the Second Amendment in Illinois and all of the different lawsuits that have been filed and where we're going to be going from there. So, hey, like, subscribe, follow along. Hopefully this gives you something to get by during a slow news holiday week. But obviously there's going to be a lot of activity in the new year, so I hope you'll join us all throughout. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to support the program, I'm just here in my home doing this. Hey, if you want a Bishop on Air coffee mug, you can get that. T-shirt, bumper sticker, whatever. You can do that below. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me. 250 plus live stream in the morning between the different channels. That's awesome. So appreciate you guys. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow, because tomorrow we've got a council corral. The city of Springfield City Council is going to meet. But also, we got to take a look at what happens in all these other jurisdictions that are looking at the possibility of limiting Non-citizens being dropped off in their communities by buses coming from Texas.